Jeg står ude foran Fermentoren her på Skelbækgade, og skal ind og snakke med Jay, som er en af ejerne her fra Fermentoren, som jo er en Craftbeer pub. Ja, så det bliver spændende. Kom ind og hør, hvad han har at sige. Yeah, so I'm here with Jay now from Fermentoren, and can you tell me a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so I'm from Australia, from Sydney, and moved over here in 2006.
Yeah.
So I worked in a fair few bars around town, and then in 2011 we opened up Fermentoren. So yeah, so besides that, homebrew background, also started brewing pretty early.
Yeah.
In Australia, it's pretty cheap to homebrew, so yeah,
cool.
So I started homebrewing for my dad at around 15, 16.
Yeah.
That was only the kits back then, but yeah, so I did that and realized that it was an easy way to get a hand of some beers. So yeah, that's how I got into beer, and started from there.
How did you end up in Denmark?
My wife's Danish, so yeah, we met.
That explains a lot.
Yeah, so we met. Still married. She'll kill me on this. 13 years now. Yeah,
we can edit that out.
Yeah, and then so we met. She was backpacking around Australia, and I just finished school, and so we met in Sydney and ended up backpacking around to Australia with her. So and after that, we bought a combi, travelled around for 6 months in that, and then after that, she had to come back for school, and I came over with her, and been here ever since. Yeah. So yeah.
In Copenhagen? Or?
In Copenhagen, yeah. So well, initially we lived up in Bjerget for 2 months or something like that at a parents' place until we could find a place here.
Yeah.
So so that's been it. I've been working at other bars such as Grease as a glass collector back in the day, and Greg, who owns that, now owns Bootleggers, and he's gone on to actually open up some craft beer bars himself. And,
And how did you get into the craft beer market?
Working at Southern Cross, I was managing there for quite a while, and we had lots of different Australian beers at the time, like Little Creatures and a few others, and we had almost 35 different beers, and and we had some friends who also worked at Erstal and Lord Nelson, and so there was a nice kind of beer community around which you would go visit friends, and so that's how I kind of got into it. But I've always kind of drunk, well, actually I drank stouts before I drank pilsners or anything like that, so I was always looking for dark beer, and Denmark was also, had some really nice dark beers at the time. I think around 2006 and stuff, when I first came over here, there was, I went to the beer festival pretty, like, almost the week after I arrived. And there was Mikkeler just released his Big Eat Breakfast, and then Udenfor had Udenfor Porter, and there was Yeti, and there was just amazing beers at the time. I hadn't tried anything like it before. So, so that's, I've always been interested in running bars and pubs particularly, and craft beer was a way to be independent as well. So that was the important part.
Awesome. So when did you open up Fermentoren?
2011. So 10 years. We're coming up at the end of September 26th. So so it's been getting better and better each year, despite COVID and stuff.
But you didn't start off with your own beer, like from Dry and Bitter, did you?
No. We had some beers from Crooked Moon, from the other partner here, Søren, in there. He was brewing that when he was out at Hjemmebryg Brewhouse as well. We had a lot of beers from Beer Here, and the Dry and Bitter beers came in maybe 5-6 years ago.
So small breweries, craft beer.
Definitely. And we've always had a really good range of Belgian beers as well. So that's been the important thing, getting a good range, not just 20 IPAs or anything like that. But,
one beer for everyone.
Yeah, that you could have a session and go around the board, and you can try different saisons, different. If you like sour beer, there's not just all lambics, but there's also Berliner Weisses, or if you like Berliner Weisses, there's also like sour saisons, and so you can have a bit of interest, I suppose, in different styles.
Yeah.
So
cool. So what sets Fermentoren apart from other pubs?
When we first started out, we kind of thought the important part was accessibility. We've always tried to keep our prices quite reasonable.
Yeah.
When we first started, all of our prices were 50 kroner for no matter what you bought. And we try and keep that to some extent now. Our prices have gone up a little since then, but also range, as I was saying. So you can always come down here. There's always several stouts, several IPAs, several sours. There will always be Pilsner and wheat beer, obviously, but so there's good selection. Also,
how many beers is in your selection right now?
We got 24 on.
24?
So, yeah. So, yeah. Besides that, Biergarten always helps. So being able to have a place open over summer, which you want to go to. Yeah. And I suppose consistency. That's what we've really been going for. Like, we never closed. So even when COVID was happening, we were open as a takeaway. And so I think that's also helped people get to understand that they can always come down here. Yeah. And that's where we've seen the scene change a little bit. When we first opened, a lot of bars were closed Mondays or Tuesdays or weird opening hours, and where we've always stayed open and tried to. So yeah. Yeah,
cool. So what's your mission here? What do you want to accomplish? Is it just to spread the knowledge of good beer, or what is it that drives you?
Yeah, I mean, I think for it to be a pub first and foremost, I think having craft beer is a part of having a good pub, but that's not our main focus. Is good atmosphere, people to be able to be comfortable and have it as their second living room, and then the beer's kind of, I don't want to say second, but it's that people they want to come here. Look, you can buy good craft beer and you can sit in at home and drink it whenever. But to get people to actually come down out of the house and experience things, I think you need a good premise with a good atmosphere first, and then
bring people together. And
definitely, and so people can talk about it. Good bartenders to be able to chat about different styles, good direction, and then you get to talk about other things with a good beer in your hand.
Yeah, so, exactly. Yeah. Cool. So what do you think? You've been in the craft beer scene for a long time now. Yeah. How did you see it evolve to what it is today?
Yeah, I mean, I think value for money was something which first happened, where people were trying to, a lot of the market was going for big alcoholic beers. If you had to pay 60 kroner or something for a beer, you wanted 8%. A lot of people were going for bang for buck. And I think nowadays, just the sessionability, people are prepared to, drink 2% beers and 3% beers and be happy with
the flavor and the complexity and
have that value there, or they feel that there's value there. They're not just going for the strongest stuff. So that's one direction that's changed. Sours have opened up to be not specialist, but everyday beer, which is great. So we get a lot of customers. Sometimes still surprises me when our first 10, 15 beers of the day are sour beers, and you're expecting a Pilsner or something, or IPA. The whole West Coast thing is kind of coming back, which is really nice.
Yeah, because the NEPA and the double IPA and the triple IPA has really taken over lately.
Definitely.
But West Coast is still a great beer. It's just not the same, but it's a different beer, but it's great.
Yeah. So and we're finding people coming back to wanting bitterness as well. And I think it's funny, our brewers, they love Pilsners, so they're going to be, if you ask them what's popular, it's Pilsners. But I think if you asked a lot of our bar staff, actually Saisons and Belgian pale ales like Taras Bulba is a real favourite for them. They look, because they're trying a lot of beers, they're looking for something which is dry and maybe a bit more bitter to continually come back to. Yeah.
But it's interesting you mentioned Pilsner, because most people they don't know that a craft beer Pilsner you can't compare it to a commercial Pilsner like Craftbeer, or you can't compare it. It's a totally different beer. So the Pilsner can be amazing as well.
Yeah, definitely. And I think there's still a lot of range for it to come with. People are, brewing different styles.
Yeah, the Bohemian style is coming in now as well, and
definitely. So, and I think as more people are prepared to spend, 50, 60 kroner on a Pilsner, then there's room for breweries to be able to produce Pilsners, where before, when people were only prepared to spend 20 kroner or 30 kroner on a beer, there was no room for you to take up tank space for a craft brewery. So that was one of the...
But that's exciting too, So what motivates you to keep doing this? Because if you both work at the brewery and you work here, you must work all day.
I think part of it is what motivates me regarding the bar is there's just a chance to have new experiences. I really love actually being behind the bar. That's so when I've been here for a few too many beers, I'd like to come back behind the bar as well. I think what's great about Fermentoren is sometimes you can just have one of the best nights ever and you weren't expected to do anything that night. It seems to be like this common story of I was only going there for one beer. And then you end up having this great night and regretting the next day. Having that spontaneity is something which, it's exciting.
That's cool. So where do you get your beers from?
So a large portion is obviously from our brewery, Dry and Bitter, but other places, a lot of Danish breweries. We've always had stuff from beer here, a lot from Gamma, Ale Farm, but a lot of Belgian beers, a lot of German beers. I mean, that's also something which we've been trying to spread the range of where we get our beers and making sure that people can always also get, a Rauchbeer, for example. So that's been one of our taps where it almost never changes. And so you can come down here and always try something like that. So everywhere.
Cool. So everywhere, exactly. So, what's your best seller?
Best seller, I suppose, our house beers. That's because they're quick and we try and, or they're good quality as well. But that sells well. But that's our IPA and our, usually we have a Pilsner, what we make as well. But different styles, session beers, probably our biggest seller, depends on who the bartender is. You ask, a lot of people ask what their favorite beers are, and they'll push their customer towards that style, obviously, and we encourage everyone to try all the beers so they can actually have an informed opinion on what they like, and to be able to, what they like and pass it off on the customer. Definitely.
So the staff knows most of the beer?
Definitely. Well, we change our beers quite regularly though. So it sometimes takes a day or so to like really catch up and go through it. But we encourage like everyone to, try all the IPAs, and it's more, more knowing maybe the difference in between the IPAs than, specifically like where they're from. So if someone's saying like this one's too sweet, where do I go from there? Or I'm looking for something more grassy than more fruity, because I mean, there's only so many combinations of Simcoe and Pilsner and stuff what people and Citro, what people use. But if people are looking for something grassy, well, then you want to go towards something with Chinook and stuff like that. But I think as long as the quality is good, it's more hitting that flavor profile people are looking for than actually the brand or anything like that.
Exactly.
So.
What do you think the new black is right now? You mentioned sours. Is that the... and what's the next thing, you think?
To be honest, alcohol-free beer is probably going to be the big thing.
Actually,
that's the biggest grower. We went from selling maybe, a case every 2 weeks, 3 weeks, to now going through 2-3 cases a week of alcohol-free beer. different people who are drinking alcohol-free beer as well. It's not just people who are pregnant, but also people in between having a beer, or they're waiting for someone, or or they've had 5 beers and they just want to still stay out and have a beer. So I think that's improved a huge amount.
And especially that low ABV beers, just at 1% or something. I actually have a recipe at home I'm going to brew next, inspired by David Heath, if you know him. I think there's a market there, and
definitely. I mean, Abeltoft's doing some great stuff as well. We sell a lot of Abeltoft as well, but they've got 2 or 3 like low ABV beers, which that would be fantastic to drink at home as well. And
it's really hard to do well. But when they do it well, it's still a great beer.
Definitely. So besides that, I'd love to see. I mean, some sour saisons are starting to come a little bit more popular, like that kind of table beer, which is a little bit more, little sour, bit complex. Like I think Burning Sky does some fantastic stuff, and when that's on the board, we sell a ton of that as well. I mean, New England's just a great accessibility or accessible beer for people as well. Like who mightn't be used to all those flavors and all that hops, but suddenly it's like, okay, well that's fruity, and so they get into it. So that's alcohol-free beer, and then some others.
Cool. If you can mention your own as well, but what's your favorite beer amongst all these?
Ooh, at the moment, I'm drinking Burning Sky, the Saison d'Erte. Besides that, I really like the Udbissel 3 Lambic. It's just a nice, super well balanced Lambic. The guys from Slowburn are doing fantastic stuff as well. They're just a small brewery, but they're doing amazing stuff. Always super fresh. Christian Pale Ale is something I can always go to. That's just it's our probably best-selling beer, a dry and bitter, but it's just consistently really good, and low percentage as well.
Yeah, that's a session IPA, right?
Yep.
Yeah, cool.
So
the last question: why should people visit Fermentoren, and what experience do they get when they leave here?
I think how would you say? We try and be a bit of a egalitarian pub, so everyone's pretty equal when they come here. Like hopefully everyone gets great service, they're getting welcome, that they feel the prices something you can consistently come here. You're not just here for one beer type thing. Independent music, great atmosphere, hopefully, and something for everyone. I think there's outside, there's inside. We've got a really nice beer garden out there. And, so there's something for any time, anyway. So cool. And hopefully it's been a great thing with COVID, not over, but the restrictions finishing. Now we can get people back at the bar as well. So it's have that atmosphere of like being able to talk to someone rather than just being transactional. That's So
cool.
So,
great. Well, thank you for the interview, and
thank you. Good to meet you.
Cheers.